William Big Bill Bodouva. How are you, bud?
Hi, Rich.
Good. Thanks
Good
for
to see
coming
you.
on. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
How's everything going?
Everything's great, thanks.
Good. What'd you do for New Year's?
Not too much. I watched TV with my little 7-pound miniature pincher.
There you go.
And we watched the ball drop, and I thought the second ball, once they rose it, it was going to drop again, but it didn't drop.
I didn't even notice it. I was in sleep by
It's
12:01.
going to drop again on July 4th.
Is that right?
26, yeah.
Is that what they're doing?
I was waiting for it to drop, and I guess I'd be waiting a couple of months.
Didn't one of them drop 10 minutes later, too, or some shit like that?
That's what they were supposed. That's what I heard they were supposed to do. And I was watching, and it didn't drop. It dropped. It was raised, and then it stayed there and just circulated around. 250.
Okay, there you go. That's fun. So Big Bill, where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Plainview.
Okay.
I graduated Plainview High School, and just before I graduated, my parents bought a house in Sands Point,
Okay.
and we moved to Sands Point. So at 17,
Beautiful
right out of
area.
high school, I moved to Sands Point, the tip of Sands Point. I had coincidentally had lost my driver's license at that time for speeding
Okay.
with my
Happens.
learner's permit.
Yeah.
So I was at the tip of Sands Point, no driver's license, and
That's tough.
I didn't go to high school in the area, so I knew no one, knew zero people. So I would walk to town, which was a couple of miles, and I would get to town. And people would say, "Why don't you take a cab?" A cab?
Cab, what's your cab?
High school I had feet; I could walk. Right, I was
That's
a kid,
right.
right? And I couldn't have thought of it. I was like $1 for a cab. I spend that and then tip them a quarter. Yeah, so it
Not
never
worth it.
crossed my mind. But and then we've been in Sands Point, my family and I, for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God bless. Cousins there, too. In Sands Point. They were in, I guess, Port Washington and then moved over to Sands Point.
Right.
Probably around 10, 15 years ago. Right on the water. Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, they bought a property there. Can't believe how big the properties are in there. Tennis court, pool,
Do
basketball
you remember
court.
which street? That's my whole area.
She's all on the, whatever it is, right by the water. Big house on the water. Her husband actually worked for us. He was an agent with us. But he ended up, he owns a lot of properties in Astoria. Before that, he was a stock guy. After that, he became he owned the Mr. Softy trucks. And he got into that, and he was in the Bronx, and
Greek guy?
Greek guy.
Yeah.
Johnny Giras.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
I know of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my wife's cousin, Dana. That's how I'm connected with them. Me and Dana, we're tight. We're there every once in a while. But her kids grew up with my kids.
Right.
The cousins,
I
obviously.
think they're on the tip of Sands Point also, aren't
Tip
they?
of Sands Point, yeah.
That's
yeah.
right where my
Probably
my,
where your house is.
my father bought a house in 1977 for $290,000.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And the taxes were $120,000 at the time. That's why I wasn't selling.
How much?
$120,000
At the time.
at the time. He bought the house for $290,000, 1977.
Wow.
After my mother passed, and just before my father passed, I sold his property, and I couldn't sell the house. It was on 6.5 waterfront acres, but no one wanted to spend the money, the $125,000 in taxes.
Yep.
So I subdivided the property
Oh, you
myself.
did?
Yeah, I subdivided it and did the engineering and the rest of it. Demolished the house, and I sold the 3 lots. I got a variance for the 3rd lot down below because it was previously zoned as a 1-acre lot,
Sure.
which was nice because that was an extra
There a
million.
lot down there, or 1-acre lots?
It's you're allowed.
Oh, well, you got the
They
grievance.
were grandfathered.
That's
it
right.
had been before, so
Okay.
I got that approved. So that 1-acre lot, I got $1.2 million for it. But the 2 upper lots, I still hold the record high sale prices in Long Island for unimproved land. One is waterfront. It's 4410, and the other one is water view, 4950. So $4.5, almost $5 million for both each lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
God bless.
So it's
You paid $220.
$10.5 million return on $290,000.
That's awesome.
That's a return on investment.
That's
an
a good
investment.
return. That's
Yeah.
right. When did you sell? When did you sell?
2016.
Okay, not bad. Yeah, not bad at all.
So
He got a really good deal there too. He ended up buying somebody's house, and then they didn't knock it down. They just fixed it up.
Right.
But he got a really good deal. I'm not going to say what he paid, but he did very good down there. I
Right.
was jealous of him.
Right.
He went in there and did what he had to do to get in there. But a lot of repairs. He had a lot of work in the house. But
Right.
it's beautiful down there.
Right.
It's so private that you can do whatever.
It's incredible, and it's the thinking of Sands Point has changed in the sense that if you grew up, in our generation,
Sure.
let's call it baby boomer cusp, Gen X, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the aspiration was to move where the silent generation was, and that was Sands Point. And the taxes, you would justify to yourself. They were very, very high taxes, but your own private police force, virtually no crime. There's only 2 ways in and out, and it was always
Right.
24 hours. But and a beautiful, really high quality of life. And when I sell Sands Point, I speak to people. I try and see what their goals are, and I try and make them understand what they have, the lifestyle that they're not only buying for themselves but providing for their children. It's a privileged lifestyle.
It is.
And if that's your goal, and after explaining it, then I could put you into it.
That's
If
awesome.
if it's not the goal, and nowadays it's not the goal in the sense that my father's property I subdivided to 6.5 acres because I couldn't sell 6.5
Sure.
acres at $6 million. But I sold it for $10 million after I subdivided it because everyone wanted just 2 acres, 2 acres.
What
1
did, if
acre.
you don't mind me asking, what did you drop the taxes down to when you subdivided it?
One of them is at I think 60,000 now.
Okay.
But it's got a big 16,000 square foot house on it.
Yep.
16,000 is a big house. And the other
Very
house,
big house,
is,
yeah.
I'm not sure what the assessment is right now. It's still vacant land.
Okay.
One down below, I think it's $50,000 on the
Exactly.
1 acre lot. Yeah,
Okay, not bad. And
that's
then-
not bad.
It's not for there.
Yep.
And then how big is the lot? Acre and a half,
The
2
lots on the
acres?
top were the 2 top lots. This is New York City skyline, by the way.
Yep.
2.5 acre, 2.5 acre.
Oh, 2.5 and
1.2
2.5.
acre.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, you got, is Jay-Z there? Is he one of the guys that owns?
No.
For some reason, I thought Jay-Z was there. I thought he was one of the guys that bought right on the tip also.
Arizona Iced Tea is on the tip.
Yep,
He
yep,
owns
yeah.
that whole piece of the tip.
Yeah.
There's a couple of no celebrity names, but
Okay.
this
Arizona, I know him.
big world finance names, because that's back in the '90s, like when I bought in Sands Point for myself, I had the option of the Brookvilles or Sands Point, and I was commuting to Manhattan, and so if you're going to commute to Manhattan, then you were going to get Sands Point, Port Washington, Manhasset.
Sure.
And if you were a doctor on Long Island, you were going to be in the Brookvilles because of the commute.
It's the place, yeah.
And now what's funny is, the last 5 years, about 5 years ago, everyone that was in that same generation of buying in the early 90s, the kids went to college, they're all selling. So everything in Brookville came on the market in one full swoop.
Full swoop, that's right.
And all the houses that had the $50,000 and $100,000 bathrooms and kitchens were like, it's a $300,000 kitchen. Well, it's garbage now.
I
They
know,
gut
it's
it.
insane, right? It's crazy. It's funny, my kids, they go to Sandpoint, they hate it because it's only one in, one out, and the traffic.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer, it gets too much, and they're like, it takes 2 hours to get to Dana's, Aunt Dana's is 2 hours, and they sit there and complain. And then once they get there, they're in love because they're on the jet skis, they're
Yeah.
doing whatever the hell they want, It's an awesome place to live. It's great. I didn't know you were from there. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's my whole niche. That's the whole luxury market. As a matter of fact, we used to go out to the Hamptons when I was younger, and once we bought the house in Sands
You
Point,
don't have to anymore.
You're on the water. We had a dock. We had I built the longest dock in Sands Point. It's 500 feet.
Wow.
590 feet. Yeah, because we had a sailboat,
Yep.
and we had first a 34-foot sailboat, then a 42-foot sailboat, which was too small to jump, so we had that just for a year, and we got a 50-foot sailboat.
Oh, wow.
And all named after my mother, Glory B.
Yep.
And gorgeous sailboats.
God bless. That's beautiful.
And it's one of the things that I tell people, as far as the lifestyle, if you're going to come into Sands Point, these are the things you have available to you. You have yacht clubs, you have sailing.
That's right.
Thirsty Thursdays, you can rush home, and it gives you a lot to look forward to. Golf clubs,
Everything, yeah. That's an awesome place. That's great, yeah. I know the one guy's there in Port Washington because John used to hang out with him. It was the guy from Rocky.
Oh, yeah.
He's he passed away though, right?
I don't know if he passed away. I know I've seen him stumbling up and down Main Street.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they say that.
He lives in a modest, apartment, top floor apartment, penthouse apartment.
Is that what it is?
Overlooking town dock.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. That's awesome. Yeah, what was his name in there?
Lou something? Was it Lou something? Or I don't remember. I just remember him in the Rocky
Paulie.
movies.
Yeah, it was Paulie. Yeah,
Paulie.
yeah. I called him Paulie every time I met him. I called him Paulie. My cousin would get mad at me. He gets mad at that. I was like, I don't give a fuck. What's the big deal? So anyway, you end up moving to Sands Point.
Right.
All right. You lose your license, unfortunately,
Right.
and then go from there.
And so I got acquainted with the town, but my initial visit to town was there. I was in the middle of nowhere, and somehow it takes a little while to digest the fact that
Sure.
Port Washington is west; it's not east.
That's right.
So
it
every
is.
time you're telling people, come by, they start driving out to the Hamptons. No, wrong way, turn around.
Come back. That's right. And well, yeah, a lot of people think that. That's so funny. So you end up go out to Sands Point. When did you get into real estate?
I got into real estate in '85. I should say '83. I started buying houses
Okay.
and renovating them and selling them. And in those days, it was 6% on the acquisition, 6% on the sale.
Yep.
So with a couple of brokers, I started working with them, and they were making 6% and 12% in a year on each sale that I did. And I quickly said, I need to get my license.
Smart.
So in those days, I went to I was doing business with Ruth Leonard, who was a Sands Point real estate legend, and she had sold my parents their house, and I said, I'd like to get my license. And she said, that's wonderful, but what about Barbara, who's been so great helping you buy houses? I said, well, she'll still be my friend, and I'll still be here to help. And thus, and she still is my friend to this day.
God bless.
Yeah. And I started with Ruth Leonard in 1985.
Oh, wow.
In 1987, after buying and selling houses and renovating and flipping and doing things were great, 6%. And I was doing everything myself. It was a lot of fun. It was a very exciting time. 87, I got my broker's license because I was going to buy a portion of Ruth's business and be a broker owner. So I got my broker's license, and then October 17th, for the first time since the Depression, the market crashed, and everything came to a screeching halt. And I had 2 Sands Point properties I had renovated. And I was a kid, 2.5. It was $3 million worth of properties in total.
Yeah.
So I sold one. I bought it for $850, put $150 into it, and I sold it for $1,450,000.
Oh, so you made a couple bucks.
Yeah. And then the other one I sold, I had on the market the same price. It was a better house, but because of the crash, I couldn't sell it. So it started looking like a white elephant. So it was a 7,000 square foot house, all renovated, all state-of-the-art, beautiful stuff. Because when your whole family is an architect or architects, you design things nicely, and I knew how to build. So I moved from my 800 square foot co-op with my new married wife to a 7,000 square foot.
Oh my God,
house.
yeah. That's a big difference.
When I talk about it, that's not seeing people.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I occupied that, lived there for about 2 years.
Okay.
Until the market bounced back. But in that interim, now,
That was, what was the interest rate back then?
11.5%.
11.5?
And 11.5% was heroic because I had bank relationships.
Wow.
Otherwise, it was people were getting 14% loans on their mortgages.
Imagine that.
So when a couple of years ago, when the rates were low and 3, and and I was telling people it's free money, grab it.
It is, yeah.
Well, we're going to wait a little bit. It's probably going to drop.
How much more is it going to drop?
Free money. Yeah.
Exactly right. People didn't get it.
Yeah.
Then when it went up to 7, they were bitching.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I think my first house we paid, I think it was 8. I bought in the early mid-90s. We bought a townhouse, and I think we paid either 7 or 8%. And I remember when my neighbor was a senior VP, but a real one, not like for the banks, for Bank of America.
Right.
And he had a family friend discount. And he came to us, and for 20 years we paid 5. It was like 5.1%. This was the early 2000s.
It's incredible.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
We jumped on that, and then we ended up selling it. That was the hardest thing to do, was sell that house, though, because we had such a good rate.
Right.
20-year loan, and we're 15 years in, 5 years into
Wasn't
it.
transferable, huh?
Wasn't transferable. It was a sweet deal. That property's probably worth, probably in the millions now. I had a beautiful view of, I lived up in Mayapack. So it had a view of, I guess, Dutchess County. It was right on the top part of Mayapack. It was like in Nicole Way and Katy Court. All the politicians lived there. It was a beautiful house, beautiful area. And then we actually moved down to Whitestone, because I used to buy and sell every 2 years.
Whitestone was nice. I looked a lot in Malba.
That's where we were.
Yeah.
We're in Malba.
Yeah.
We stayed there 2 or 3 years. We didn't want my kids, and nothing against it. We just didn't want the kids going to school in College Point. That's where they went.
Right.
So then we moved to Westchester, and that's where I've been ever since. I'm in Ardsley, And it's funny, we have like a 2,500, 3,000 square foot house, and I never upgraded because there was no reason to.
Yeah.
Like you, we looked. It was funny. We looked at a 7,000 square foot house in Ardsley, and the taxes were like 120,000. It was ridiculous. And all I remember the guy. It wasn't even about the money. It was more about. He said, if you don't, you see your kids now. So yeah, it's pretty cool. He goes 7,000. They're hiding from you, and you'll never see them.
Right.
And that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna buck down to. Stay what I have, and I'm glad we do because we don't have a mortgage pretty much. It's all done. It's easy, nice area, values up, and it's, sweet. Kids are used to it, and hopefully the kids will get it,
Your kids still home?
Nina's still home. Nikki's still home. Nina actually works here. She's not in today. And then my son's going to school for air conditioning maintenance. He's doing HVAC. So he's going to school. He's 18. My daughter's 22. 22, 23. Yeah. So, they're still home, thankfully. I want to keep them as long as possible. She wants to move into the city, but, it's a little rough here. I don't want my little girl going into the city by herself, but it is what it is.
It's funny because
you have kids, so
we're like-minded, and not everyone is,
Of course not, yeah.
But during COVID, my kids came back to live with me. I was thrilled. It was great again.
Yeah, it's awesome. You're people.
And because my kids, I had my kids, living with me for the most part. I was divorced, and so we spent our lives together. And I love my kids very much. I have 3 kids.
Of course, yeah.
William, Michael, and Catherine. And Michael and Catherine now just moved 6 months ago to South Carolina.
Oh, wow. It sucks.
And yeah, right. So well, that's a whole nother story, but I moved my sister and my brother down to South Carolina from Sands Point after my father passed away because that was what they wanted to do. And, you have tremendous values in the sense that both of them spent half the price that they got for the sale of their houses, which they had no mortgages on, and the taxes are less than half.
It's ridiculous.
Like my brother Chase was spend $47,000 in taxes, and now like $12,000. It's like, oh,
that's amazing. He must live in a freaking mansion down there.
It's a beautiful house, very much like Sands Point.
Yep.
And his house in Sands Point was great. I got it for him in 1996, and I got it for what the hell was it? It was like $600,000.
Wow.
And we just sold it for $2.5.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he
Congrats.
did well with that, and now he's down there and he's happy. But his house was on the golf course, and he had a screen porch to watch the golf course, the Sands Point Golf Course. So now his new house is he has a screen porch. It's on a golf course.
On the same thing. That's awesome.
It's crazy. It's like you can actually sit there. I visited him.
Yep.
And you sit in the screen porch. It's like, where am I?
That's amazing. A lot of my friends moved down there when they retired. A lot of guys moved out to Carolina. There's a couple of hockey players I know live out there. It's awesome living, from what I hear. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know.
I went down there with the idea. My kids are down there. My
Yeah.
brother and sister, and I went down there with the idea of like, I'm gonna get I met the people, KW people down there. I met
Sure.
Vince Marinari, and
No, yeah.
it's not for me yet.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me. It's not for me yet. It's not hard living either. It's easy. But my cousin was a builder in North Carolina, and he competed against all the big players here, like oh God, what the hell are their names? The big players.
Toll Brothers.
Toll Brothers. Thank you. Down there, they beat their ass. When they tried to come up past DC, they got their ass kicked, so they couldn't do it.
Right.
And my aunt passed away, I think in like 2015, 2016, right around that time. I'm talking to my cousin Jim, and he goes, "We love you, Yankees. You come down and buy these huge houses." And he said, "Taxes are outrageous here." And I was like, how much are your taxes? Around $6,000. I was like, "Oh my God, six!" Yeah, so I was like, "What do you mean $6,000?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's what they are." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I said, "So," and he goes, "That's high," and I was like, "That's not high. That's ridiculous." He did the same thing with you. He ended up there was a problem with the building down there, and he ended up building like a 12 or 13,000 square foot home for somebody, and of course, person backed out at the last minute.
Oof.
And James was like, "What the hell am I going to do with a 12? That's just unique.
That's not a spec
property.
house.
That's not. Yeah. And to put it on the market, he wasn't going to capture the returns, so he ended up moving into it. And I think he still lives in it. My uncle said he still lives in it to this day because it's so hard to sell. Especially, but it's a builder's
And
house.
he's still married because he never sees his wife.
That's right. It's perfect. Yeah, that's what he said. He loves it. but it's he's out in oh God, Charlotte, right around the Charlotte area. It's red dirt country they call it. So loves it. Loves it. He's got this house. He went back where he doesn't own the company anymore. He just works and enjoys life, and that's what most guys do down there. You know, a couple of the hockey players I know, they live in the same area. They commute back and forth to New York, and hey, they love it. It's a dream, North Carolina and South Carolina. It's which is good.
It's great if you don't have to make money, or if you have something a
You have
gig
money
where
and
you
you can
can make
move, yeah.
money, or if you're with a family.
That's right.
I'm a single guy, so I do have my 7-pound miniature pincher,
Yeah,
but
it might be hard to meet people down there. Well, I guess I don't know.
with that dog, it's not hard to meet people. It's
I was
hard
gonna
to-
say,
it's
yeah.
hard to get away from people.
That's right. Yeah, that must be a bitch. So you end up, you go down there, you send the family there. Then what? You end up when you got into the real estate business. Where'd you end up working? Like when you got into the brokerage, Sands Point originally.
Mostly, I handled mostly luxury properties
Okay.
because that's
Well,
where
Sands
I
Point.
was. That's what I knew. That's the life I was living. And at the time, I was a pretty young kid. I was 25. I was admitted to the Sands Point Golf Club, and when I was brought in, the guys that sat me down and brought me in were two guys: Bill Shea, who
I actually know
Shea,
him.
Shea Stadium, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and Lou Schott, who was a tremendous financier.
Yeah.
And
Bill Shea. I haven't heard that name in years.
right? And these were men. They sat you down. You had a scotch, and they said, "Well, this is what
What are
we
you
talked
gonna do?"
about with the club, and now we're gonna play around the golf.
Yeah.
Play around the golf." I said, "You're in unless you beat me." I didn't know how to lose,
Yeah.
so I wasn't gonna lose on purpose.
That's right.
I lost, but I wasn't gonna lose on purpose.
That's right.
But
So you get in.
I had that. I had the Manhasset Bay Yacht Club because we had a sailboat, and just about everything else that was around it, tennis, and so your social circles were, a high level of people. Now, at the same time, I was running my father's architectural firm, which everyone knew of because it was a big business. We built a lot of big airline terminals. Terminal 1 was the last one that I was involved with.
Oh, God bless.
At Kennedy Airport. And people would ask me, like, in a shy, timid way, you still doing real estate on weekends? Oh, still doing real estate, I have
How do you
everything.
manage to do that? If you don't, I'm sorry to cut you off there. So you're in the real estate business. When did you switch over to Dad's business?
87, market crash. I panicked because here
Rightfully
I am
so. Yeah.
in this area where I'm making money. All of a sudden now I'm not.
Yeah.
And to be in that area, you need to be making money. You need to make a cushion.
You got to make at least 6 figures at that time to be there.
Yeah.
Right?
So I went into the city, and I got a job at Kennedy Airport for $32,500
With Dad.
with Dad
Okay.
as clerk of the works.
Yep.
And my father was one of those. He was a hard ass, and my mother was Italian Sicilian. My father was Greek.
Okay.
So
Yeah. It's,
my father would tell me, you're not an architect. You're not going to make it. Like, all right, well, 3 years later, I was running his business.
nice.
And
Congrats.
I didn't need to be an architect to run an architectural firm.
Sure.
I needed
Businessman.
project management experience
100%
and
right.
finance. So, and that's when in '92 I went to NYU at night for finance,
Okay.
and it was the NYU real estate development program at 46th Street, which was
Yeah.
phenomenal. It was the first time
Funny you said that. I was thinking about going there a while back, and I didn't go. It was a big regret. I think that was in the 90s, 97.
that would have been, yeah. I took it was
Yeah.
the '92 to '94.
Wow. Okay.
And that was when to go because, all the big, Harry Helmsley spoke,
That's right. All of the
you
big
had
names.
all the adjunct professors were people that you listened to. The
Right.
first time I ever did well in school.
Wow. Yeah, that's why I would have played them well.
Awesome.
So you go there, you do what you did. You end up running Dad's company.
And
now
I-
it's your company.
And I went there because I needed to, because we got to the point where I was running the financial. I was actually, when you have a Greek father, you don't just run the finances, you also are HR and you're also
accountant,
everything else.
everything, yeah.
And
That's
if
right.
you need to hire more people, well, you don't hire people until you come in an hour earlier
That's
and you
right.
work an hour later.
That's right.
So,
And then you work more as you keep going. I know. Yeah.
but the funny thing was that,
It's a good thing.
I loved it. It was very powerful, very
Sure.
heady. I rose to the top of the mountain very quickly, and I was handling it. I was doing very well with it. But I liken it to holding onto a rocket ship. And that's how fast I grew. That's how fast I learned. And I had to keep learning at that rate. And when I reached the plateau of financial knowledge, that's when I signed up for NYU at night to be able to do, the corporate tax returns and the rest of it. We still had Arthur Anderson doing it because you can't do your own, because
Right,
then
yeah.
it's throwing up a red flag.
Right.
But at least I knew what I was doing, and that was imperative.
Yeah, you're like me. Where you know just enough to get by. I can't do it, but I know just enough to get
Right.
by when you're coming into corporate taxes. And
Right.
so you're doing that. And what's that like? What is it like running an architect firm and having contracts like Terminal One? That's a huge contract. So is that the architect contract or the whole?
That's the construction. The scope for the project was $500 million.
Okay.
And
So you have the streets, you have everything. You have the roads.
Right.
You're building everything.
Right.
It's funny you said, not funny you said that. It's interesting though. I was involved. We never got off the ground because it never got approved. Foxwoods Water Park back in the day.
Yep.
And we took it over. I was involved in that. Where we had the houses, 1,000 houses we were putting up, but they couldn't be sold to guys like you and I because you had to be Indian descent to be the tribal Indian. So we had to do timeshare. And because Hard Rock was going in there, and Joe had a fight there. And Joe was the chief of the reserve there. We were going in there, and back then the scope to do the water park and the house, and I think it was going to cost close to $500 million, $400 to $500 million, and that was high. It was a high rise, and I just remember the roads being crazy. So I was just on the real estate side, selling the real estate. Not really anything to do with the building or the contract. What is it like running a job like that?
It's awesome, but it's also, you just, like I do everything in my life, you can't fall behind. You got to stay ahead of it.
Yep.
And you have to know what you're getting into. You have to know what the contracts are. Like, I was one of the few firms that, anytime we would have an audit, we were prepared for an audit. And no one could understand why. Well, it's pretty easy. When you sign a contract, in the contract, it says what they're going to be expecting and how often they're going to audit you.
Why are they going to audit you though? Because you're with the feds, right?
It was a federal project, so it was.
So you're getting
it
audited all
was-
the time to
it
make
was
sure that
New York
everything's on
State,
the.
It was the government, and and it was the Port Authority. So you had all
three of them.
You had a quasi-governmental situation.
That's
So,
interesting.
Yeah, and
Who took control? Was it more MTA or was it more
it was,
government?
It
where-
was MTA. Port Authority was the lead agency, and Port Authority was who represented everyone.
Yep.
And because you're also dealing with the client, which is like Delta or British Air
Sure.
or whoever it was.
And back then who ran Terminal One?
Terminal One was 5 carriers.
5, okay. Because Delta was still 3 and 4 at the time, 2, 3, and 4, right?
Delta was 2, 3, and 4, and we were supposed to be moving right from British Air to
British Air, that's right.
British Air was my first. That's where I cut my teeth.
That's right. Yeah.
That's when I made the statement that I walked into there in 1987. Thinking, I built houses and stuff. What don't I know, right? I've been around architecture. I went in there and it was like the scope. It was a renovation, and it was a $70 million renovation that at the end was $125 million.
Wow.
Which I thought, like, how this is? You got to try and stop this. And I thought, don't stop
Don't
that.
stop. Good.
When you find something, you got to stop it. You got to document it. We got to redraw documents, and you send the contract documents to be approved, and then you start the construction again.
Wow.
Which was hard but easy for me in the sense that it's hard saying, why can't you just fix it? Now, I'm on the ground with the construction workers
Sure.
who are like bitching about, the architect's stopping us again. It wasn't until...
What kind of personality are you back then? Probably still to this day because you don't really. Are you a high D? When they letter in your DISC.
I'm a D and an I.
DI, right?
Yeah. More than anything else.
There's no C with the.
You have to be a C a little bit.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say.
I was
Because that's the finance part in you, right?
yeah.
But to run something like that, you need that high D, high I, because you got to be liked.
You have to sort of know what to do.
Yep.
And if you don't know what to do, when I first started there, I said to all the, because these guys reminded me, I was 25. It all reminded me of like my uncle. I had an uncle who was
Sure.
a top contractor in the plumbing union. And he would say to me, he was a Greek guy, he'd say, Bill, if you don't know, tell people you don't know. They're going to know.
Yeah.
So I told all these people, now, I'm representing the architects, so everyone thought that I'm this architect.
Big architect.
With his son, and he knows everything. He went to school, and he's a spoiled kid. Just the opposite. It wasn't. And I said to these guys, I built a couple of houses and stuff, and I thought I knew something. I don't know anything.
Well, different, huh?
I'm going to need your help. I'm going to do everything I can, but however you can help me, I'd appreciate it.
So you put the runways in, you did
Yeah, everything.
on those simple, and I never understood it. Is it heated underneath those or?
Some yes,
How
some
about
no.
Terminal 1?
Terminal 1, no, they have de-icing. They
Okay.
have de-icing machines where, and all the
Sure.
plows that you see on the air, all those big trucks with the plows, they never leave the airport.
Yeah, I know.
They're just there for the airport.
That's right.
I didn't know that until 1987, when another realization was you build a $450 million terminal, right? It's being torn down now because there's a 25-year lease on that. So you build an airline terminal, it costs you $450 million. You have it for 25 years. You could buy it back for $1, but they have to demolish it and redo another one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's
Just the way it is.
It turns it over. Yeah, it's a land lease that you're buying from the Port
We
Authority
had
of
that.
New York State.
That's one of the reasons our deal didn't go through in Foxwoods with land lease.
Yeah.
100-year land lease. We were into it. They were already into it 30 years, I believe it was. So we only got 70.
Left. Yeah.
And we needed the full 100. It was an interesting when we were, there was a bunch of big names. I'm not going to really say, but you'll know the people that I was involved with. And I had this brilliant idea of saying in a meeting, which I didn't know any better, which my guys adored it. They thought it was a great idea. For the 30 years to make up, why don't we take 1% of the gambling that comes in from our clientele? They lost their shit, Fox, because 1%, I never realized this, 1% of people that come in, especially like in timeshare, they lose a lot. And I didn't realize that. And they said 1% is a lot of money compared to the 30 years. But they couldn't get the 30 years back because that's the state and, with their whole land lease, because their land lease was it was tax-free.
Right.
So everything was tax-free. It was great,
It was incentivized for Native Americans.
That's right.
Or indigenous people, or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, whatever it is. So I'm assuming the same thing, similar, because it's tax incentives, right?
Yeah.
And all, because they're not going to be paying high taxes on that, right? Because that's owned by city, state.
Right. And the airlines pay for the construction. They pay for the building.
So they
then
pay for
the
everything.
taxes. They pay for everything.
So the airline
Goes
pays
to
for
show how much they make.
Wow.
Yeah.
The airline pays for the construction too.
Yeah.
So when the 25 years are up, they repay.
Another building.
So it's not the feds that go in there and pay that,
No.
but they report to the feds.
Yes.
That's so interesting.
The,
How much land is Terminal 1?
I don't know how much land it is.
It's a
I know
lot.
I know the dollars of it. My position is the
Just to
finance
know.
and the $450 million project and the amount of architects that we're going to have on it. We had 500 people at the time, and architects and engineers, and then we were the lead, so we had architects. We were surrounded by engineers. And one thing you learn about building at the airports is zero tolerance. Anytime you're doing anything with, because we had MTA projects also. We did the subways from Washington Square Park, 4th Street to 59th Street,
Oh, wow.
Columbus Circle.
God bless.
We did all those, and we had 2 specialists that did nothing but that. And every time you get on to inspect it,
That's so interesting.
it always looked like, God, it always looked like hell. And I tell my fellow, there's no pride in it. No. He says, it pays the bills. He says, that's
all I care about.
constant. You learn this when you had cars and you would paint cars and you want nice, shiny cars, you think that everything should be nice and shiny. But no, that was just constant money paying our overhead to
Hey,
enable us to-
you're just running a P&L.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing at that point. So, so you're doing this. Are you in love with that work, or you?
I fell in love with it.
Okay.
Because it's when you're, I had a tremendous advantage in the sense that, like, when you said they loved you because you didn't know, I didn't know either. I wasn't an architect. Well, I went to school for architecture, but I graduated with a bachelor's. Not architect.
Sure.
I didn't know what you could do. I wasn't a contractor, so I didn't know what you could do. So the things I would suggest were creative thinking, like just problem solving, like, just it came naturally.
Sure.
And it worked very well. We began to overlap trades. We were one of the first big companies to overlap trades
Wow.
in the 90s, early 90s. It was called fast tracking.
Sure.
And because we were so big, we were able to do that. And we were able to get the unions to cooperate and work together.
Okay.
They would have meetings where they would all sit down and would coordinate what's going to be built, what would be hits, what had to be moved. It was brilliant. It was fast.
Right to the point, and
Yeah, right. And the clients were thrilled because at the airports, the sooner it's built, the sooner they're making money.
huh?
And they're usually clients that had previous terminals that you're going to turn over. Like British Air, my first project, we were operating the old terminal until we opened up the new terminal seamlessly. It just went right from here. They just deterred you, and you're in the new terminal all of a sudden.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what happened with? I know this is off topic here. TWA, is that still? It's still not in use yet, right?
TWA was renovated. Now,
Came a hotel or
I
something.
don't know much about this because when you're out of it, 2012, you're out of it, you're out of it. So all of a sudden, you know nothing now.
So you got out in what year?
2012.
2012. You get out. Okay.
And, the Sarandon building was an architectural masterpiece, is what a lot of people call it. My father called it that half his life until they were talking about contracting it and tearing it down and building another terminal when he said, it's an old building. So
And that's what happened.
went from a work of art to an old building back to a work of art.
Interesting.
So it's restored again, and it's beautiful. It shows a time, that time of the old days when you'd fly in a plane and you go to the top and you'd be on a piano bar and you're smoking cigarettes. And
That's right.
I show my kids movies where they're smoking cigarettes on a plane. It's like, how did they allow this?
It was in the 80s.
way it
They were
was,
still
man.
doing that. Yeah. I think they stopped that in the 90s. It's not that long ago they stopped that shit. It's interesting. I remember an international flight, flying first class. Me and my wife at the time, I think we still engaged at this time, when we went to Cancun. And we fly first class from JFK to Cancun. And obviously we got bumped up. We were kids. And I remember smoking on the plane. And I remember my wife furious because she didn't smoke, obviously. And I would dabble it because it looked cool or whatever. But international flights, you were able to smoke. And then, right, internationally, you were allowed to smoke. And then, within the States, you weren't at that time. But it was totally different. The stewardesses back then were, it was a glamorous job. It was, it was big. And how things changing yet, so commercialized. It's insane what was popular back then. That's why I love watching these older shows and seeing what they were about, because it brings back memories and good memories. So you get out of there in 2012, sell the business, get out of the business, if you don't mind me asking.
I got out of it, but we were in the process of starting to wind down to sell it.
Okay.
And I negotiated. I was sort of out of it before, but I was still involved because I was involved with the sale and I was the finance and had to.
Sure.
And everything, and just to reverse one say, the reason why I was such a successful business was because we could able to do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it.
Yep,
My
makes
father
sense.
was a brilliant man, and I handled the finances and was able to maneuver things quickly. And we were able to sit down together and in an hour decide
which way to go.
Right. And,
Which is awesome.
As opposed to boards. Everyone else had boards. And we surrounded ourselves with the very, very best because, like I said, zero tolerance.
That's
And
awesome.
failure was not an option.
Can't, not at that level. It was funny. One of my good friends growing up, he used to do. He was the paver. You probably
The asphalt business?
Yeah, his family owned the blacktop companies, and I know he was. I think he might have done Terminal 1.
Chiarelli?
His name was Gussie Cimentori. I don't remember what his uncle was, or one of those guys, obviously. That was in the 80s. I think they did a few, because they have to do those over and over too, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the streets. That's the best gimmick in the world with those guys. That's why they're in that business, because it's constant.
It's good, solid business, and it's
and
it's also it's surprisingly I learned it's all engineered. It's all there's no guys just pouring car. It's all
everything's engineered. Yeah, it's amazing what you have to know to get into that. So 2012, you leave that, and I'm sure you have to work, or you don't have to work, whatever it is. You get into real estate, or
every day, probably an hour of my day would be real estate related work.
Oh, even back
I'd have
then.
things sent over, like remember the round robin? I'd have that faxed over to my office, and I would have the clipboard in my office of the round robin. So every day I got the round robin, and every day I saw what was on the market, what was for sale. And if I saw something that was interesting, I would be speaking to the agents. I'm going to show this weekend. I would be scheduling things. And
so you like to work? You're a hustler.
Yeah, I like to work, and I enjoyed it because it was. I've always been. I've always taken what I've done very seriously.
I could tell, yeah.
I've done everything to the utmost professional degree, in the sense that I was also surrounded by professionals that I emulated. And I would see how these people would do things, and they would be certain. They would talk about things that would do this, and it would be exact every time. No, no problem. I strove towards achieving that and being that, and I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
So I also have a voracious appetite for information and knowledge, but also for advocating for people and for protecting my client,
Sure.
whoever it was, whether it was building a building or selling a house or buying a house. So I began representing people, and they would approach me at like the golf club and stuff, knowing that I ran the architectural. Are you still selling real estate? Yeah, sure. What are you thinking? Would you have time for
It's sort of like that.
So it went a little different to now. I'm so adverse to cold calling, because I still, you're not going to, people aren't going to call me and knock on my door and say, Bill, could you please take my listing?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No,
anyway.
it's not going to happen.
So 2012, you end up in real estate.
In real estate.
Where'd you, if you don't
I
mind
went
me
to a
asking?
little local place, Laffey, in Port Washington.
There you
'Cause
go.
there was a little office in town, and the agent there was, the manager there was hounding me after me.
Okay.
And I had my own independent broker's license for all these years. And I had been, from Ruth Leonard, I went in 1987 to 2010 to Douglas Elliman. And I was there with Douglas Elliman, partially selling, weekend selling, but absentee, no desk. And I even took space on 56th Street for a little while.
Sure.
Tried that. And then I went into Laffey in 2012.
Is that 575 Madison that you worked in when you were in the city, or?
No, I worked on, I think it was 50 East 60th Street,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought for my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Douglas Elliman.
That's right. Yeah.
And, Douglas Elliman, Port Washington, was Town and Country, and then Helen Schaff sold it to Douglas Elliman, and I was part of the contract that they sold.
Oh, that was 2000. I'm thinking before. I was thinking still in the 80s and 90s when Element.
No, you're right.
I'm right. Right. So it was
Yeah.
still Prudential at that
So,
time.
so, yeah, it was Prudential, then it was,
That's when Dottie owned it.
it was before Dottie owned it.
Oh,
and
it
then
was
the guy that owned Alexander's, I forget what his
Oh,
name
that's right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He bought it, and, and then Dottie bought it.
Yes.
And then in 2010,
I almost went there in 2010, 2011.
yeah, you wouldn't have been like-minded with the management, and that's why I left there.
That's right.
So, and I had my own license, so I kept working with my own license for 2 years.
Yep.
And then I joined Laffey because it was local, and they were promoting me, and I joined there, and that was the thing that was toughest for me was here I was the boss, and it was a very tight-lipped business. You didn't talk about what you did, you didn't promote what you did, you didn't say how great what you did was,
That's right.
because it was just very quiet. You don't want people to think you're making too much money. You don't show up with your real car at the job site and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I sort of had to a little bit of a learning curve of sort of smiling, being nice to people, and really realizing that I worked for people.
That's interesting, right?
It's a
different
whole,
world.
It was a whole different. But when you're doing something in someone's best interest and they truly appreciate it, I've always said that real estate, even when I was young, half of the reward is your appreciation.
For what you're doing, yeah.
In the beginning, your reward was all I cared about. I didn't care about the money. It was the reward. It was like saying, you did a great job.
Sure.
You did. And the better a job I would try and do, the more I would always try and know as much as I possibly could. So I'd overwork. So if I'm going to show 2 houses, I'm going to look at 5 other houses that were there. And again, this goes back to the project management mind of that. I want to see that whatever's being shown, these are things that sold previously. These are things that might come on in the future. This is what the value is. And I was always doing this since 2012.
Wow.
No one else did this. If someone would say, if I was working with someone for a couple of weekends, and I said, I see this house on Zillow. I'd like to see this on Saturday. I'm serious. I think this is what I like. I would do a CMA before we went to that house. If they liked it, great. We were prepared. If they didn't like it, then okay,
Well done,
I did a CMA. But I overworked and was always over-prepared,
Sure.
ready for my client.
Smart.
And buyer brokerage became a tremendous claim to fame for me in the sense that I was doing buyer brokerage in 1990 before it was buyer brokerage.
Wow.
So I was buying properties in Sands Point, Port Washington for Bodouva's.
We talked about this, and
Yeah.
Sure.
And I was representing my family, and at the time it was 6%, and listing agents, he's not representing your interest. He's representing his family. All right, you're right.
You have to.
So I would write up my own contract, would give it to them, and it would say that I'm waiving the 3% commission,
Getting paid
and
by them.
I'll be paid by my family, which by family you don't get paid, but by everyone else
Of course.
you do. So when people, especially at my golf club, heard that, they asked me to represent them.
Wow.
And that's when I started reporting it to LIBOR. And LIBOR wasn't ready for it at the time. It was no one was ready for it.
Sure.
It didn't have a name.
They
It
weren't
wasn't by
ready
a
for it when they
brokerage.
did it.
Yeah, it wasn't by a it wasn't no one.
Right.
So they said you might want to forward it to the National Association of Realtors because we're all paying dues for realtors over
Right.
1,000 years. So I shared the information with NAR, and they were interested. In about early 2000s, NAR started becoming very interested with other states with buyer brokerage. So I became involved nationally with that, and I would be copied on emails and copied on information, and I would see how they were doing things with buyer brokerage.
Wow.
38 states now embrace buyer brokerage. New Yorkers don't, because New Yorkers are wise guys. They're going to go to a listing broker
Yeah.
and deal directly with them, which is basically they're going to bribe them.
That's right.
They're going to talk their way, except when they're represented by a broker, and I let them know they'll never prevail over me because I'm representing my client, and I'm going to let your
right.
client know that they can only represent their client, they can't represent you, and you're unrepresented. And when you go in unrepresented,
Not a good place to be.
you're not going to prevail because who's going to advocate for your sale?
That's right.
Who's going to oversee your transaction? Who's going to be the transaction manager? And who's going to be a project manager, transaction manager that's going to monitor your transaction?
100% right. God bless.
So in real
Caught
estate,
that earlier.
yeah, in real estate, like with construction, I've surrounded myself. You know all my experts. They're all the best in the industry.
That's right.
From everything from real estate law to 1031s specialists to mortgage brokers.
Everything's
whatever it is.
title, whatever it is, insurance.
And we all work together, and we all stay on a transaction, and we all communicate all day, every day.
God bless.
We can't miss anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you end up, how long were you with Laffy?
3.5 years,
Okay. And then you went to
Coldwell Banker.
Caldwell.
Coldwell Banker. Now, at that time, I was a hot commodity. I was doing $22 million in sales. Barry Paley and I were the top producers at Laffy, and everyone was after both of us. And I remember
And I got both of you. Look at
right?
that.
I remember Barry went to Keller, and
Sure.
he was telling me, you got to go with Keller, you got to hear the whole plan. And
What year Barry come over? 2019?
I would say 2016.
Was
That's
it
the
that?
same time, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
And
It's that long
I
already,
went
wow.
to Coldwell because Coldwell changed 3 times since I was there, which was the mess of Coldwell. But I went to Coldwell because
Which Caldwell?
Coldwell and Manhasset, Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage.
Okay.
That's what it was. And that was the corporate entity in New Jersey.
Yep.
And my deal with them was they gave me a check for $90,000 and $10,000 in marketing. They gave me the check before no one gave us, no
one gave money
broker.
back.
It was unheard of, right?
Sorry, back then.
So I was very complimented. I felt very good about it. And they promised me that they were going to do, if you're familiar with Port Washington, right across from the train station, there was a phone store.
I actually remember that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that phone store was vacant. And they were going to build a Coldwell Banker luxury brokerage.
Residential.
They
Yeah.
have global luxury. Now, the global luxury division is a good division, but they decided not to open that office after I had drawn plans. I had interior
In
plans.
Port
for it.
Washington. Yeah.
Yeah. Right across from the train station. 10,000 people every day traveling. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Even if you're exhausted running from the train, it's going to make a subliminal impression on your eye.
100% right. Yeah.
And when you're sitting down watching TV and you see the Coldwell Banker ad, wait, what did I say? And then you get my postcard,
Makes sense,
whatever.
yeah.
Then it triangulates, and that's why I went to Coldwell Banker. That and then Andy Graham was nice.
Yeah, of course.
But I also met with Darren Dagan, and nice guy, represented the company well. Gave me the sales pitch was good and strong, but at the time, and still to this day, Port Washington Sands Point is split. The market is split between Daniel Gale and Douglas Elliman.
It's still to this day. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
And the problem that I had was that
And it's only really 2 people.
yeah,
It's interesting.
it's a handful of people.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And is that Keller Williams, no one knew what Keller Williams was at the time.
Sure.
And I knew that people needed to have something. And I justified the Coldwell Banker that we're going to be here. And for Coldwell Banker, when I spoke to them, was it was a $500 million market. And if it's 200 million and 200 million, and I could get 40 million the first year, or 30 million,
Not a bad day.
that's not a bad. That's a good thing. It's a good start. And that's why I went that route.
Interesting.
When they didn't build that, I should have left. They breached a contract. I could have got out of it, but I tried to, stick with it. I stuck with it a couple of years. COVID hit. COVID, I had a good year because I was one of the only people, I was the only one that I knew, that had a full team of people because I'm a SIPS broker also, so I can do international deals, and I'm a Carter certified, I'm a reload broker, that everyone on my team could do transactions through Dotloop or through,
Sure.
seamlessly. So it was all digital signatures. You didn't have to see the houses. You didn't have to meet anyone to sign. You could do the closing
And this is all during
remotely.
COVID.
Yeah, all during COVID.
Wow. So you did 2 or 3 years of that.
2 years of that, and then after that, 2023, my father died, and I sort of was sucked back into state stuff. It was very consuming.
Sure.
And then right after that, my brother's house in Sands Point we got rid of, and relocated him down to Mount Pleasant.
Yep.
And my sister, who had another place in the city, got rid of that and moved her down to Mount Pleasant on the other side. So what I didn't plan was my daughter went down to help my sister move, and my son
She
went down
stayed.
to help my brother move,
And they both stayed.
and they both
That's
they
interesting.
like the lifestyle.
And then, this is amazing. This one by freaking see.
Yeah.
Quick, right?
Yeah.
When'd you come to Keller?
Came to Keller in May of 2025, but I also went down to South Carolina for a couple of months. I was back and forth.
Yep.
So I didn't really get active until October, November,
Sure.
and that's when things were still a little bit slow. So now I'm working on marketing and getting some stuff out there for 2026.
Wow. So this is an amazing company. It's amazing. I want to have you back because this is really good.
I want to
really
interview
do.
you next time because I know
God
you've got
bless
an
you.
interesting story.
Yeah, God bless you. Today was the first one I ever did with Steve Rivera, so I'll definitely take you up on that. New person getting into the business because you're in this 40 years now.
Right.
What piece of advice would you give him or her?
Do the same thing as I did. I got into the business. I volunteered for the worst hours, to work the worst hours, to do anything anyone didn't want to do. I would run to the town hall and I would pick out certificates of occupancy if they weren't in a file, and rather than the girls in the office, which was all female office at the time, and they were all married, so they couldn't work weekends. The husbands wanted them home on weekends. So I would do them the favor of taking their uptime Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Three up slots they had in those days.
Yeah, remember that.
So take all the time, work with people everyone knows more than you if you're just entering the business. I don't care if you pass the tester. Everyone knows more
Yeah,
than
of
you.
course.
Listen to everyone. Try and find a mentorship program or a team that you can work with, to learn with.
Sure.
Don't try and do it alone because you can't compete. Like Lucas was saying before, you can't compete with Barry, you can't compete with me. But learn from us because you can complement us and then you can take to the next level.
It's
All of
awesome.
us to the next level.
And then where do you see the future of real estate going? I know it's a tricky question because we're in I don't want to say no man's land, because I honestly think the market in 26, and I already say it's starting to turn back to a good market.
Right.
I'm just curious, because again, you've been so deep into it. Where do you see the market going in 26, 27, 28? You see an upswing like me, or?
Well, yes, but I'll tell you, from 92 up to COVID, I was able to do projections flawlessly, like you could. Once you're in it, you're in it, and you
Figure it
have
out,
your
yeah.
boots to the ground, especially hyper-locally. You know your market, you know what's going to happen. You can forecast. So forecasting was easy. When COVID hit,
Who knew?
Who knew?
Sure.
But now after COVID, there was a long lag, and then after COVID, you had a different generation. Now you had Gen Ys, and now you have Gen Zs and Gen Ys.
That's right.
And Gen Zs and Gen Ys are their priorities, their goals are not what ours were of home ownership and families and children. I don't want to be overstressed. I don't want to be overburdened. I saw what my parents did. I saw my parents got divorced. And I want to take things a little bit slow.
Sure.
So when I want to affectionately tease, I'll say, I understand pets and plants. You got pets and plants. I have children, pets and plants.
Pets and plants. That's right.
But I see the market improving in the sense that I see inventory coming up. We know mortgage rates are going to go down.
Yep.
We have a government, like it or not, that is promoting home buyers and
Home ownership. Yeah.
home ownership, and the availability all around, in the sense that mortgage rates will drop, availability will increase, inventory will increase, and with salaries increasing, it's going to now present a more clear picture for the people, the smaller percent of people, that everyone that's been on hold, a percentage of those people are going to be able to buy and make a decision. And I think once that happens in a generation, others in that generation will follow. So I see, for those reasons, things going up slowly but increasing, and I see good things for the future.
Yeah, I was looking at this the other day, and I'm looking probably, I think, what was it, 4 million homes sold last year? 4.2, I think
Something
it
like
was, right? Some around that number. I was talking about this the other day. I'm going to probably predict 4.8. Maybe we'll hit the 5 million mark again. I think COVID was 7, if I'm not mistaken.
October, I think, was 6.8. I think
Was it
this last
6.8?
year was 4.2. I think, and
Yeah.
he's 4.8 or so is
Predictable.
probably along.
Those lines.
5 is optimistic,
Yeah.
because I don't think this is it's going to happen, but I don't
It's
think
going
it's
to
going to
take
happen
time. Yeah.
that quickly. So
Yeah, it's going to.
maybe 4 point, maybe the following year 5.5, 5.6.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe 27. They can.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Great talking to you, Big Bill. Appreciate
too,
you.
Rich.
Awesome. I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward
Thanks
to
for having
that
me. I had a
27.
good time.
Yeah. Thank you, bud.